Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Football Fignuts podcast. This is episode number 184 overall. But if you're breaking down these things, it's season 4, episode 34. My name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
Craig, we took last week off because we knew this week was going to be insane, right? We
Yes.
we knew, and it has been. So I think this episode, we just say nuts to our normal kind of like, let's ask questions of each other. Let's go through the free agent signings. Let's just do it.
All right. Let's
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 just
do
go
it.
right down the list and say, okay, here's what's happened. We're gonna go. I have NFL.com up on my screen. Today's date, by the way, is March 17th, 2021. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes. St.
Um,
Patrick's Day it is.
Craig, well, let's not throw everything to the wind here. What are you drinking?
It's St. Patrick's Day, so I have a Guinness.
That's lovely. Lovely. I have
Yes.
a glass of Diet Cola because
Excellent.
that is a traditional Irish drink in my household. But yeah, no, it's I just
Yeah.
I'm traveling tomorrow and I have several breweries in my path, so
Good.
taking today a little bit easier.
Good
Now,
plan.
but that
Good
being
plan.
said, tonight you and I are going to do a co-op on Twitch playing Stardew Valley,
Yes.
and there might be a beer or two drank there. I'm just saying.
There
Just
might
saying.
be. I mean,
So
farmers got paid with beer, so it makes sense.
yes, yes, that's very true. All right, let's just get right into it because there is a ton to discuss. We'll try to get through as many as we possibly can, guys, but we're just gonna flow through. So as of the morning of March 17th, this is what we have. Because Lord knows, Craig and I are gonna finish this recording. I'm gonna post it on Libsyn. It's gonna hit Apple, and 15 minutes later, someone's getting traded.
Like a huge trade.
Like massive, like Deshaun Watson for Russell Wilson, massive. And you'll be like, well, why the hell didn't they talk about it? Because it hasn't happened yet. There is a brief period of time between when we record this and when it posts.
Exactly.
But we're trying to give you the most up to date information. So let's jump in. All right. So I'm looking at the NFL.com page, and they have it organized by division. So we're going to start with the AFC East because that's where they start. The Bills. They're bringing in Manny Sanders on a 1-year contract. They have agreed to 3-year contracts with Darrell Williams and John Feliciano to bolster their offensive line. Matt Milano is a 4-year, $41.5 million contract to join their linebacking crew, and they signed a punter. Craig, does this matter? I mean, bolstering the offensive line is good, right?
Yeah, I think the offensive line is smart, and Emmanuel Sanders, he's up there in age for a receiver, but he's reliable. I know he had COVID last year, but he doesn't drop passes, so
Mm-hmm.
I think
Well,
it's
and
a
that's the
good
thing.
pickup for them.
That's the thing. They lost John Brown and Andre Roberts, backups. I get it. Well, John Brown wasn't a backup. They lost them. Okay, that's fine. I also have the departures page up. And on the offensive line, they lost a guard and a tackle. In that Brian Winters is not going to be returning to the team, and I never pronounced this guy's right. Ty Secchi has gone to the Cowboys. So they basically said, okay, and I think the pieces they're bringing in are better than the pieces that they're losing. John Brown, yeah, 3 games a year, fantastic. Good luck figuring them out. I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to bring um, a little bit more consistency there. So so really basic grading here: thumbs up or thumbs down. The Bills so far in free agency.
Uh, for me, definitely a thumbs up.
Same. All right, flying on to the Dolphins. Why? Because of the next on the list. They're bringing in Jacoby Brissett on a 1-year contract. Why? I,
Because
They also signed a 1-year deal with Malcolm Brown. Remember Malcolm Brown?
I do.
They brought in Isaiah Wilson. I'm sorry, that was a trade with the Titans. And then they did it as part of the trade with the Titans. They also brought in Benedrick McKinney. Justin Coleman signed a 1-year deal. And guess what they signed? A punter. So they bring in basically two notable pieces. They bring in Jacoby Brissett and Malcolm Brown. They lose Ryan Fitzpatrick. They're not bringing in Jacoby Brissett to start, are they?
I have no idea what the Dolphins are doing at quarterback. Sometimes I feel like they love Tua, and other times I feel like they're like, oh, why did we draft him? So
Right.
I don't know.
And they did lose Matt Breida. I think Malcolm Brown for Matt Breida is an upgrade for them. I know Malcolm Brown hasn't been super consistent. I think he's an upgrade. I'll take Malcolm Brown over Matt Breida in fantasy. I'll take it in reality too. My concern with the Dolphins is the departures on the defensive side. Shaq Lawson, Davon Gauchot, Kamu Grugier-Hill, Elandon Roberts, Kyle Van Noy, who I forgot was even still there, all gone from the team. You lost 3 linebackers. One of them you traded. I know Van Noy was hurt a lot. I get that, but I'm going to say thumbs down to the Dolphins because they brought in a backup quarterback and they brought in one linebacker and a cornerback while the rest of their linebacking. I mean, this McKinney's looking around going, who am I playing with right now?
Yeah,
I'm
and
the
the
only
other thing
linebacker
too
standing here.
was Brissett in New England the same time the coach was?
Probably.
Because that could be part of it too.
I'd have to look. Honestly, don't even remember.
Cinch would know.
Right, so I'm going thumbs down on the Dolphins.
Yes.
Okay, the Patriots. All right, if you need to refresh your beverage, now's not a good time. The beverage have re-signed Cam Newton. They brought in Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. They brought in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. They traded for Trent Brown. They're bringing in on the defensive side Dietrich Wise, Davon Gauchot, Henry Anderson, Matt Judon, and Justin Bethel. Oh, and Jalen Mills. All of these people are coming. Who is going? Rex Burkhead and James White. Shocking to me that they're both not coming back right now. They lost Marcus Cannon in a trade to the Houston. They lost Joe Thuney to the Chiefs. Sorry, Cinch, my gain. David Andrews, the center. They lost a couple of defensive tackles, including Larry Guy, and Jason McCourty isn't going to be coming back. Very active.
Especially for New England.
This is very active for New England. There's so much to break down here. Pick one thing and tell me what your thoughts are on this. Because, I mean, you can't just sit there and go, okay, thumbs up, thumbs out. There's too much here. So what's sticking out to you? What do you want to talk about on this list? Tell me your thoughts.
I think the big shock is them signing 2 tight ends. And to me, if you watch Cam's games from last year, those 2 tight ends are now his safety net.
Yes. Yes, and they're both tight ends that can both block and catch.
Yes.
They are. You know what this reminds me of? Do you remember when, oh God, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. Who's that guy? Back before Aaron Hernandez was in jail, he was the second tight end. It wasn't opposite Gronk, was it? It was whoever was there before Gronk.
Cinch would know.
Yeah, Cinch would know. But they had tight ends. They had 2 of them. They could run 2 tight end sets. And when Aaron Hernandez started catching passes, all of a sudden it was like, whoa, they have 2 tight ends that can catch now. And maybe it was Gronk. Maybe I don't think so though. I think it was somebody else. But they had 2. This reminds me of that.
Ben Coates? No.
That was after Coates, I think.
Yeah, Coates was 99. Watson? After Benjamin Watson.
Was it?
Maybe.
Why is my computer not responding?
I don't know.
Well, I can still hear you, so that's good.
Oh, good.
It might have been Ben Watson. I'm looking really quick. It wasn't Martellus Bennett.
Kyle Brady.
He was never Algie Crumpler. My computer just cited Algie Crumpler. No, that's not the guy I'm looking for. I don't think Algie Crumpler was ever a New England Patriot. But yeah, so okay. So I mean, yeah, that's what stuck out to me too. I mean, okay, listen, you signed Nelson Aguilar. I hope you enjoy dropped passes. Because Nelson Aguilar is, and I know you play a lot of Retro Bowl. On Retro Bowl, if your receiver is standing open in the middle of the field and you throw it right at him, half the time he drops it. If you hit them in stride, they catch a lot more frequently. That's what Nelson Aguilar is. Nelson Aguilar will dive and catch passes and look fantastic, and then he will be wide open with no one around him, have time to like make a small lunch, and then the ball gets there and he still drops it. I don't understand it. He's clearly a very talented man. It's mental. It's got to be mental.
It has to be.
And Kendrick Bourne, he stays on the field. He's good. So I'm going to give 2 thumbs up to the Patriots move so far. They I think are going to be really good this year. I think
it all hinges on Cam, really.
Right. Well, I do. I think they're giving Cam more weapons than he had. Okay, you were relying on Julian Edelman. No,
and he's broken.
So he's broken all the time. On to the Jets. The Jets is a short list. Why? Because of the Jets. They signed Corey Davis, which is impressive because they had to find him because he was missing in action the second half of the season. And then, but mainly defensive signings. They brought in the defensive end, a linebacker, and and Marcus May got the franchise tag. Departing the Jets. Get ready. This is going to hurt. Joe Flacco is leaving the Jets. Frank Gore is not going to get re-signed.
Oh, come on.
Rashard Perryman is not coming back. And then they lost 3 linebackers and their entire secondary. Arthur Mollett, Brian Poole, and Bradley McDougall are all going.
Damn.
So the Jets right now are down 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 12 people, and they've signed 4.
Duh.
And the only upgrade has been to bring in Corey Davis over Rashard Perryman. Thoughts?
Yeah, and I would say, I'm a little biased because I'm a Bengal fan, but Carl Lawson is a huge signing for them. He's a fantastic defensive end that should make a pretty quick impact as long as he doesn't get hurt.
I'm going to give him a thumbs down, but yeah, I mean, the problem is you lost too much to make it up with one guy.
True. Very true.
You're letting too much walk out the door, and that's a problem. So, all right, on to the AFC North. We're actually making really good time here. We might get through the entire AFC in this episode. Baltimore. They're bringing in Kevin Zeitler. That's a really good signing on their offensive line. The rest of it's all defense. They're bringing in Bowser, McPhee on the defensive ends. They're bringing in Justin Ellis as a defensive tackle. I love that signing. Oh, well, I'm sorry, no, he's a re-sign. These are all re-signs, actually. They're re-signing all these guys. I misread it first. And Derek Wolfe re-signed. So they're keeping their defensive front solid, and they're trying to bolster their offensive line. Who did they let go? You tell me when I run down this list where the first person you're like, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
Okay.
RG3, Mark Ingram, Dez Bryant, Chris Moore, Willie Snead. Have you hit anybody yet? Because I've read 5 names, and I'm not upset about any of them.
No, I mean, you can argue for Ingram, I think, but that's about it.
His impact was, and you've got so much depth there. The Ravens have so much depth there. I mean, that's the problem. No, never mind. Anyway, then they lost a couple of guys on the offense and the defensive side. That's pretty much it. But the skill players were just that. I like what they're doing here. I think they're going to need to make some more moves on the offensive side of the ball. They're going to have to bring in a little bit more offensive kind of firepower if they want to really, really compete. I mean, not in terms of the running backs, because I mean, God, I'm drawing blanks on rosters, but there's a fair few. This is what happens. The season ends and I start forgetting people. J.K. Dobbins.
There you go.
Gus Edwards. Justice Hill. Remember when Justice Hill was going to be the next big thing like 3 seasons ago?
Yes.
And he just hasn't hit the Dobbins, Edwards, and Hill, you do not need Mark Ingram there. Mark Ingram's not going to get any usage there. And I understand he's getting older. I get it. Well, Marquise Brown is the only thing you have left now. Okay. You've got Duvernay. He's still there. Maybe he's ready to take on a bigger role. You've got Miles Boykin still under contract. I'm not really worried about. I'm worried about the protection for Lamar more than anything else. So I want to see them do with the offensive line. So I'm going to give them so far, even though they've lost a lot of pieces, I think that they've lost pieces they could afford to lose. I'm going to give them a thumbs up. Thoughts on Baltimore?
Yeah, I think thumbs up. I think them re-signing their defensive front was huge because the Ravens have always had a fairly decent defense, so them keeping them together was smart.
Okay. I'm sorry, we got to talk about the Bengals.
I know.
On the offensive side of the ball, they re-signed Brandon Allen.
Hey, he's an awesome backup. He proved himself.
But that's the only thing they've done. Right now, according to NFL.com, expected departures include AJ Green.
Yeah.
Are they really going to let Green walk?
I mean, he hasn't played a full season in 3 years. Yeah. I mean, I'm sad to see him go because he came in with Dalton, but...
Right.
Yeah.
John Ross has already signed with the Giants. I think that's... Here's the thing. The problem with John Ross was he never played.
No, because his rookie year, he hurt his chest. He tore something in his chest, and he didn't tell anybody.
What?
And he kept trying to play, and it made it worse.
So let me ask you this: over under number, the number of games he plays for the Giants this year, and actually performs this year, not comes in for 4 plays and has 1 catch or 1 target. How many games before you're cranky because he didn't do any of this for the Bengals. Give me an honest number.
6.
I think that's fair. And you know what? You know what's going to happen, right? He's going to post 14 games.
Yeah, I know. He's going to get 15 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards. I already know this.
He's gonna post 14. He's gonna post 14 games. And you know what? Here's the other thing too. Here's what I'm gonna predict. He is gonna be a fantasy. He's gonna be a guy you draft low and sell immediately. Because here's what's gonna happen. He is gonna come out the gate like a ball of fire. The first 3 games, don't be shocked. This is my personal opinion. Don't be shocked if he's in like the top 4 or 5 receivers in terms of total yardage, like after week 3. And then your phone's going to ring. What do you want for What do you want for John Ross? Oh, okay. I'll trade him because 4 games later, he's 2 catches for 15.
Yeah. Now, is this your thoughts on Ross or Daniel Jones?
Both. I still think Daniel Jones has potential. I know I talked Daniel Jones up big time. I'm getting ahead of us. We shouldn't be talking about Giants right now.
Right.
But you asked the question. I think it's fair. The Barkley injury hamstrung them. They are so one-dimensional without Barkley. So one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Well, we brought in Devontae Freeman. That's great. That's great. The Jets brought in Frank Gore. You want to start naming aging running backs back and forth? Let's do it. I don't think it was. I need to see this Giants, and the Giants were actually better than a lot of people thought they would be. And part of that's because the division was so bad. But I think they're going to be better this year if Barkley comes back and Barkley can be healthy and Barkley can be Barkley for at least half the season. They're going to be better, and I think that's where you're going to see it. And again, that's the other part of why John Ross will be good. Week 8, when John Ross is out with a fingernail injury, and Saquon Barkley already has 714 carries, they might be in trouble. But we'll see. All right, so so the rest of the Bengals departures. Spain and Redmond off your offensive line. Your entire defense walked out the door. You lost 3 cornerbacks, and you have no special teams. You lost both your kicker and your punter.
Did they not sign Spain?
Spain is listed right now as a departure.
Really? Man, I liked him because I know they let Finley go, but he never played.
No,
and I know everyone. This is the thing with if you read Bengals Twitter fans. So of course everyone has like sports. They all have their own way they think the team should fix itself.
Right.
But if you're the Bengals, there's so many holes everywhere. So I was upset. They were supposed to get Thuney. Like everyone thought he would go there because his family is in Ohio. And he went with not the Patriots. He went with the Chiefs. Gave him
win for me.
Exactly. Gave him $80 million. And I saw there was a tweet of a reporter talking to his sister, and his sister was like, "Yeah, we wanted to go there, but they lowballed him."
Yeah.
And this is the problem. This is the problem.
Yes.
It's like
no, absolutely.
Just signing one person clearly is not going to fix the offense completely, but it helps. I mean, I'm glad they're trying to bolster their defense. I think the Hendrickson thing was big since he was like one of the sack leaders in the NFC, but. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, and for me, it was hard because Joe Thuney was a Patriot, so he leaves the Patriot. There goes the Source and Cinch. They're unhappy. the tweet or text emerges that says he was going to go to Cincinnati, but Cincinnati wouldn't pay him any money. So now Craig is unhappy, and then he announces he's with the Chiefs, and I'm thrilled. So. Of the 5 people who run this podcast, 3 of them are absolutely miserable. I'm thrilled, and Sean just looked around and went, "Are we going to draft a quarterback for the Bears?" Hello. So it was kind of a weird. I actually had to explain to my wife. I'm like, you got to listen to how this worked out. And she does not care a thing about football. She can't stand football, but she was like, "Yeah, I think you're going to be dealing with some grumpy podcast members for a little while." And I'm like, "Yeah, we are," and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Speaking of grumpy people, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns.
All right.
The Cleveland Browns. Oh, by the way, just to be clear, Quentin Spain hasn't signed anywhere yet. He's just expected not to return. That's what NFL.com has. If they have him signed with somebody else, they tell us the new team. If they don't, then that's where.
Okay.
Yeah, so that he could still sign. It's possible. It's just who knows. So okay. Speaking of grumpy people, the Cleveland Browns. Literally in the playoffs for the first time in most people's lifetimes.
Yep.
And what have they done? They've signed a defensive end and a safety. What haven't they done? Well, they've let Marvin Hall and Rashard Higgins walk. They've got 2 linebackers, 2 defensive ends. Their entire secondary is right now unsigned, including Carl Joseph. And Cody Parkey is unsigned right now. Cleveland is clearly taking a page out of the Bill Belichick book of let's wait and see what the market establishes his value. My problem is waiting right now does not help you.
No.
You are 3 or 4 pieces away from being a Super Bowl contender. And I know that hurts your head because you hate the Browns and you hate Baker Mayfield. I get it. They're closer than a lot of the teams we're discussing. Why in the holy hell aren't the Browns making more moves? Why are they waiting instead of being proactive?
That's a good question.
Well, I want you to answer it.
I
Tell
don't
me.
know.
You're my central expert, my AFC North expert. Used to be the
Why?
central
I mean,
house.
honestly, I think the default answer is because of the Browns and how their ownership works. Same as the Bengals
The
and their
Bengals.
ownership and how they lowball people.
So we've talked about half the division already, and the conclusion on half the division is we're going to lowball everybody and build a roster around it. That's not going to, but that's why the Browns are the Browns. You can't do that.
Right.
You have to go get Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney didn't call up the Chiefs and go, "Hey, you guys got any work?" They went after him. They went to him. That's the thing, and that's the team. Again, never forget how Andy Reid ended up in Kansas City. Andy Reid was on a plane to Denver. Was literally getting on a plane to fly to Denver to meet with John Elway. Before he gets on the plane, like hours before he leaves, he gets a phone call from Kansas City and says, "Would you be willing to stop here and hear us out before you go to Denver?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've got a couple hours layover." He never made it to Denver. That meeting with Elway never happened because the Chiefs went and got him. They didn't sit there and go, "Listen, after you meet with Elway and you talk about what's going on with the Broncos, you want to swing by afterwards and we can maybe make a pitch?" No. They intercepted him.
Literally.
Like very literally. The reports are out there. He's going to Denver. He's a serious candidate there. And then all of a sudden it was like he's stopping in Kansas City first. And then he canceled the meeting with Denver, and everyone went, "Holy crap, he's going to Kansas City." And now I have shirts with Kansas City Super Bowl champions 2019 on them, and other people don't. And Denver Bronco fans don't.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes would have been a Bronco. There's no question in my mind. He would have played the same set of building. He would have. Go get what you need. You don't wait for it. You don't go to the supermarket and look at the meat section and go, "I'm going to let these 4 or 5 people get the really good steak so I can get the cheaper one."
Right.
You go into the case and you get the freaking steak.
I'll just wait till the butcher throws the meat at me.
That's right. The Browns are literally waiting by the dumpster outside to see what expired today.
It's still good. It's still good.
It's still good. It's just a little airborne. I'm like, I don't understand it. And I understand it. Okay, listen. The Bengals have been rebuilding for a long time. We know their ownership doesn't like to spend money. We get it. The Browns were in the playoffs this year. They won a game.
Yeah.
They're close. They're closer than most of the teams in the league. Even you have to admit, if you ranked the top 30 teams in the league or all 32 teams in the league, they'd probably be a top 10 team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably put them at 10 if I'm going to make a list out of 10.
Yeah, but they would be top 10. They're closer than other people, and they're doing nothing.
Nope.
They're playing the waiting game, and this is how you go from beating the Steelers and getting a big upset in your first playoff appearance in a decade back into 6-10, and everyone going, "We need another quarterback." This is how it happens. Mark my words.
Because if they if they have that record this year, like Baker's done in Cleveland.
Yes. And would it be fully his fault? I don't think so. I don't think it's entirely on him. There's something else that always goes wrong other than how they handle free agency every year. Every year it's something else. Oh, it's the coach. Oh, it's the quarterback. Oh, it's the offensive line. Sometimes it's the front office.
Yeah.
Because who brings in the quarterback and the coach and the offensive line?
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about Pittsburgh.
Your
I wasted
favorite
way
team.
too much time. What's that? My
Your
favorite team.
your
Okay, so
favorite
this is
team.
the one I get to lowball. Great news out of Pittsburgh. They have re-signed Ray McLeod to a 1-year deal. The guy who was the most exciting part of your offense down the stretch that no one had ever heard of, and everyone was excited to see play because he was doing well. You gave him a 1-year deal. Great job, Pittsburgh. Definitely don't lock him down. Rest of the moves are all offensive line, and Cameron Sutton is staying.
And I don't even know if BJ Finney's gonna play. Like
Yeah.
he missed time with the Seahawks. He didn't play for the Bengals like at all. So I don't know.
But they're already losing Vance McDonald and Maurkice Pouncey at a minimum. They've lost
Yes.
their starting center because he's retired. At a minimum, Bud Dupree is a Titan. You've lost him. Connor isn't under contract. Juju Smith-Schuster isn't under contract.
He's
Here's
gone.
the thing. Why are you waiting on Juju? You can't sign Ray to a 1-year deal and wait out Juju.
I don't think that they want him there. I think they're done with him.
Then who are you throwing to? Because Ray McLeod can't be it. He was it because Juju wasn't. It's Alvin Harper syndrome.
Yes.
If he's the second option, he draws the lesser matchup. He gets more looks in those kinds of sets where everyone is worried about Juju Smith-Schuster. If you make him the primary receiver, he will not get the looks. And by the way, your tight end, one of them, just retired. Who's the other one? Is Eric Ebron? Is Eric Ebron still there?
Yeah, he's still there.
Great, he's good for 2 games. But who? Other big names, Alejandro Villanueva, who's been there forever as an offensive tackle, he's on this list. Vance Williams and Avery Williamson, the other 2 linebackers on this list. Pittsburgh.
So there was Juju, Claypool, and McLeod.
So Claypool's the only one that's under contract right now for more than a year.
Yep, and then it's Eric Ebron and Kevin Rader.
And this is what you're going to do to try and keep Big Ben from retiring? This is what you're doing. This is the idea. And by the way, you have no running back if you don't sign Connor. I'm just...
Well, they still have Benny Snell.
Little Benny Snell. Oh, my God. Another guy who's good for like 2 touchdowns a year, and they're both going to come in the same game. Good luck picking it. He's just one of those guys, man. All right, let's go on to a division that's a little bit less of a train wreck, but start with a team that's an absolute train wreck, and that's the AFC South and the Houston Texans.
Oh, but this is a big list.
Yeah, so the Texans have brought in Tyrod Taylor.
Hopefully they don't stab him.
This deal makes 0.0% sense to me unless you're going to deal Watson, which they say they're not going to do. They bring in Mark Ingram. Again, why? Duke Johnson is supposedly on his way out. So you're bringing in Mark Ingram to replace Duke Johnson? Granted, that's a plus. That's value added, as the source likes to say. That is value added, but that's like saying this hard roll that's been sitting on the sidewalk for 2 days is better than the one that's been in the dumpster for a week. Wow. Mark Ingram he's older. I love Mark Ingram. I use him in fantasy all the time. He's older. He's in the twilight of his career. He's winding down. He is not going to carry your team. They brought in Andre Roberts. And Pharaoh Brown is re-signing. They're bolstering their offensive line, which is a good sign. But the problem is it's not going to go anywhere because their quarterback wants out. They brought in Shaq Lawson in a trade with the Dolphins. That's how McKinney ended up in Miami. And a lot of little signings on the defense. They seem to be really focusing on the defense. Departures include A.J. McCarron and Josh McCown. So your starting quarterback wants out, and both backups are leaving.
And now you have Tyrod to save the day.
You had to bring in Tyrod. That is why they brought in Tyrod. Duke Johnson's on his way out. Will Fuller is on his way out. And then the rest of it's mostly, J.J. Watt is gone. That is mind-blowing to me, by the way, how badly you managed this situation to alienate J.J. Watt.
Yeah. And Watson, for that matter.
And Watson, all right, so we didn't even say this, but I'm giving a thumbs down to everybody else in the division, in the AFC North, but the Ravens. Ravens get a thumbs up. Everybody else in that division gets a thumbs down. And the Houston Texans get a massive thumbs down. Like one of those novelty-sized thumbs like Pee Wee Herman wore when he was hitchhiking in his movie. That size is the thumbs down I'm giving to the Houston Texans right now. Thoughts on the Texans? Talk to me here. Make me feel better about this.
It's hard to. I mean, clearly they have to rebuild their team. They have to rebuild their locker room, especially with a new head coach. But the issue is the owners are the same. The front office is the same. So,
And
like,
that's the real
I don't know
issue.
what they're gonna do with Watson. Like, they're just gonna let him sit out a year, and
He's not going to sit. I'm telling you right now, this is what he should do. I said it in the podcasting thread. He should show up for every off-season activity, do exactly what he's asked to do, and when the media asks him, he should trash the team openly. Every chance they put you in front of a microphone, you speak your mind.
Hmm.
Force your way out. Go out there, throw for 50 touchdowns. I said this in the podcasters thread the other day. We have an ongoing text thread where we toss around ideas. If the Houston Texans, if Watson shows up, does everything he should do every after post game, what did you think about the performance of this? Well, I think that if we gotten better players or if we had done better job during free agency, he wouldn't have to worry about that. He clearly needs time to develop. Those are the kind of answers I want to hear out of him. I want him to be standing on a Super Bowl platform next season. And when he's handed the Lombardi trophy, I want him to thank his fans, thank the fans, thank the rest of his teammates that they're the greatest group of guys that he could have hoped to play with, and then openly say, and we are so lucky to have the fans and the players we do because our ownership is a terrible mess. They have no idea how to run a team, and the only reason we're standing here is because the players care more about the city of Houston than the owners of the Houston Texans. I want it said in front of 30 million televisions. I want the Texans to make the Super Bowl for that lone reason, and that's what he should do. He will burn his way out of there, but he will do it looking like a professional on the field, and he will
True.
not leave anything on the table. I mean, we all
True.
thought this was a Bill O'Brien problem, right? For a long time, we knew the Texans, we knew the Texans
I
were run
think
by some jerks, but still,
he was definitely he was pouring gas on the fire. But yeah, I think
yes.
it's from the top down. Clearly,
It's not just O'Brien, it's systematic. You have a systematic issue in Houston. The ownership is bad. The the front office has been bad for a while, and every time they get rid of somebody who's bad, they bring in another bad guy to replace him. You don't fire Darth Vader to bring in Khan from Star Trek. It's not an
it's a good
improvement.
analogy. I like that.
That's not an improvement. Oh, okay. Screw the Texans. Let's move on. Indianapolis. The Colts have acquired Carson Wentz.
The end.
Why? That's literally the only move they've made. What have they lost? Well, Philip Rivers retired. They sent Jacoby Brissett to the Dolphins. Marlon Mack isn't expected to return. T.Y. Hilton is under contract. Their offensive tackle, Anthony Castano, retired. They lost a defensive end. They lost Autry to the Titans. Justin Houston isn't under contract.
Wow.
Justin Houston,
They
man, remember when he was
they
good?
have to bring Ty back, don't they?
There's the question. What are they going to do? They've got a lot of people. They're clearly in wait mode too, and I don't think you can afford to be.
No. Because right now, I mean, if on paper the Colts have the best team in that division.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's not really an endorsement of that division.
No, I'm just saying if you got to pick between
that?
the four of them.
Yeah, that's not a massive endorsement of that division. That is just an acknowledgement that division is really, really underwhelming. Really underwhelming. So, all right, I'm gonna say thumbs down just because I don't like these teams that are waiting. Go out there and get your guys. Jacksonville. Jacksonville is not waiting. Jacksonville has signed Carlos Hyde, Jamal Agnew, Philip Dorsett.
Remember him?
And Marvin Jones. That happened yesterday.
Oh yes, yep.
They signed 3 wide receivers. They franchise tagged their best offensive tackle. They've signed a bunch of defensive ends. They've signed 2 defensive tackles. They brought in Shaq Griffin, and they brought in 2 safeties. Now, what have they lost? So there's a ton of defensive side of the ball stuff and a bunch of wide receivers. Mike Glennon is unsigned. I don't know if he's expected to return. Chris Thompson, unsigned, don't care. Keelan Cole, don't care. Chris Conley, didn't even know he still played football. Dede Westbrook. Dede Westbrook signed him for 3 games and cut him because that's all he's worth. James O'Shaughnessy and Tyler Eifert, both not under contract. And then a couple of random defensive people. They brought in so many defensive people, I don't think they have to worry about them. They need to do so. I mean, they got to do. What is the plan here for quarterback? Are we getting back on the Mustache Express?
I think we might be. We might be. But, everyone's assuming who they're going to draft, so.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these holes, and that's the other thing too. The NFL draft can fill a lot of these holes. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking. I'm like, okay, well, clearly Jacksonville plans on drafting offense because they signed a boatload of defense. They're clearly looking at this draft and thinking they can get offense out of it. I'll give them a thumbs up for now, but I'm a little worried about the guy who's throwing the ball. A little worried about it.
Like
I
who they're
mean,
going to pick? Or you're worried about Gardner Minshew?
I'm worried about Gardner Minshew. They got to bring somebody else in there. Think about this. DJ Shark and Marvin Jones are your starters now. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. Okay, Keelan Cole and D.D. Westbrook, you signed one of them. So now you've got Shark, Jones, and let's say Cole. That's a pretty good three. Oh, and Chenault.
Oh, he's there.
And Dorsett. Okay, screw it. You don't need to sign him. All right, that's right. So you've got Jones, Shark, Chenault. You signed Cole for your fourth guy to give yourself some depth, and now you just need a guy who can deliver them the ball.
Yeah. I mean, it could work in theory.
I'll give them thumbs up, but they better have a good draft. Tennessee. Let's finish that division.
Okay.
They've signed Jeff Swain, and that's it. Well, that's not true. They got Bud Dupree in there. I think Bud Dupree is a good add. Janoris Jenkins is going there. On the defensive side of the ball, they did some good work, but they didn't do anything on the offensive ball. On the other side, they lost Corey Davis to the Jets. Adam Humphries may be going. Pruitt may be going. Jonnu Smith is gone. Isaiah Wilson was traded to Miami. Like half their offensive line is gone. Jadeveon Clowney, gone. Malcolm Butler, gone. Desmond King, gone. This is like Tennessee is looking very thin right now. What are your thoughts?
Let me just look at that list of who they got again.
It's very short.
Here's the problem with Tennessee is and again, I know this sounds biased of me, but ever since they lost against the Bengals last season, that team lost their identity. And you really never knew when they took the field which Titans you were going to get. Were you going to get the playoff Titans from 2 seasons ago, or are you going to get the Titans that look totally lost?
The Titans that made the AFC Championship, or are you going to find the Titans that have no idea how to use Derrick Henry?
Right, exactly. And then Derrick Henry, has 12 yards rushing because they're so far behind they have to keep throwing.
I mean, are we at the point where the Tennessee Titan playbook is literally one page that says give the ball to Derrick Henry?
I think it is, and then there's another page that says, break glass in case we go behind 21 points.
Yes. Yeah. The nuclear option, the nuclear codes are here.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm gonna say Tennessee needs to do some work. So, all right, so we're gonna go to the AFC West really quick. All right, so we've talked about 3 divisions.
Yeah.
What division so far has done the best job and which done the worst? And I'll start so you have a second to think about it because I'm springing it. I think the East is doing the best job. The AFC East is getting way stronger as opposed to weaker, except for maybe Miami and the Jets. The worst job is probably the AFC South. As much as critical as I am of the North, I think the South is probably doing worse. What do you think?
So best is definitely the AFC East. Totally agree on that one. With these signings, there's no reason why the Bills can't win that division.
The Patriots would be the reason.
Yeah, but that all just really is too reliant on Cam, and I don't know.
Yeah,
just don't know.
We'll see.
I think I'd have to say the AFC North just because there's not a lot of each team had maybe one big signing, 2 big signings, but there's nothing really going on activity-wise. So as of right now, anyway.
Okay, let's move on to the West. Denver. Denver has not signed a single offensive player in free agency yet.
Right. Wait.
Yep, 3 defensive they've signed. However, the only thing they've lost offensively is 2 offensive tackles. They lost Dotson and Wilkinson in theory. They haven't lost. AJ Boye is going. Denver didn't have a lot to work on this offseason in terms of people that they had to retain or replace. I think that they just are trying to figure out who they are as a team and build. So I'm willing to give Denver a pass.
Yeah, but how long is Denver going to be rebuilding?
As long as John Elway has some sort of role on that team. The honest answer, that's it.
They just can't make up their mind on a quarterback, or they can't, pick one. So
All right, let's move on to my Kansas City Chiefs. They've done two things, and I love them both. They brought in Joe Thuney, as we already discussed. So we won't linger too much on that. But they re-signed the best name in Kansas City, and that is Taco Charlton.
that's a good
One of
name.
our defensive ends. Taco is not his real name, by the way.
It's not.
I've heard rumors. There's a story behind it. I don't know what the story is, but there's rumors. There's a story behind it. Now, Kansas City has a problem, and it's entitled "No one else is under contract except those two guys and Patrick Mahomes." Right now, without contracts, Le'Veon Bell,
Yep.
Damian Williams, Anthony Sherman retired. By the way,
Really?
that makes me sad. Didn't he go to Connecticut? Why do I feel like I watched him when he was at UConn?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think where's his info page? Yes, he did. Oh, that's so sad. I remember when he played at UConn. I wasn't there then. I'm still a little older than he is. But yeah, he's 32. Yeah, he's got me by a decade. But that means I watched him. He probably played either right after or during the what's his name? Orlovsky administration. So all right, so Bell, Williams, Sherman gone. Demarcus Robinson, no contract. Sammy Watkins, no contract. I'm okay with that. Ricky Seals-Jones, fantastic that he's not in prison, but he has no contract. The entire offensive line is not under contract.
And
Eric Fisher,
they cut
Mitchell
two
Schwartz.
of them, didn't they?
Fisher and Schwartz are gone. They're gone.
Was that a performance thing or was that a money thing?
Fisher was definitely performance and money. Fisher never lived up to his potential. He had some brilliant games, but he was often hurt, and there was too many things that went wrong and not enough that went right. So, but Remmers, Assembly, Wisniewski, Kilgore, and Ryder, 3 offensive guards, and both are centers, all no contract.
Oh.
Alex Okafor, no contract. Kasanian, no contract. Brashard Breeland, no contract. Daniel Sorensen, no contract. Our secondary is bad as it is. These are the 2 best guys in it, and we're going to let them walk. So the Chiefs have a lot of work to do. And I am not at all thrilled. Other than I like the 2 guys they're keeping and the one guy they're keeping and the one guy they brought in. I don't like what the Chiefs have done. I'm very worried about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Are you worried about Patrick's health?
Yes. My entire offensive line is gone.
Joe Thuney can't block everyone.
It's going to be Joe, and he's going to have to snap the ball. He's the only one there. Both centers don't have a contract. Let me go look at the depth chart. I'll go really quick and look at this depth chart. There's nobody there. Depth chart, Kansas City. Here we go. Okay, at center, Austin Ryder, not contract. Daniel Kilgore, no contract. Someone named Daryl Williams, who I've never heard of in my life. Another guy named Williams on this team, and another Daryl.
This is my brother Daryl and my other brother Daryl.
We have 2 guys named Daryl Williams on this team. I think we cut one of the Williamses. I think we cut Daryl Williams, the running back. We have 2 guys named Daryl Williams that both spell Daryl differently. But we have so many guys in this team named Williams. We gotta the most important thing, and we're forgetting this. Byron Pringle is under contract.
Thank God.
That's
so you have Byron Pringle and a guy named Taco. That's awesome.
And Tyreek Hill. We still got Tyreek Hill, Hilaire, Mahomes, and Mecole Hardman. We've still got a lot of good pieces. I've got no offensive line. I've got Joe Thuney. I'm looking at the depth chart right now. There is 1 name under left tackle. 1.
Really?
We have a left tackle. Rankin is the only one we have under contract. Now, the good news is we're probably getting Tardif back this year. He was the doctor who took the year off to stay in Canada and fight the virus.
Oh, right.
Duvernay Tardif. We're going to get him back.
Oh, he's coming back. Good. I thought he was done and staying.
No. He opted out. He was the first NFL player to opt out under COVID. And people were like, oh, my God, why is he opting out? He's a Super Bowl champion. And the answer was he wanted to stay home and help fight the virus. He was not sick. He was not worried about getting sick. During the offseason when COVID broke out, he was working in a hospital because he's a doctor. He just doesn't have a license. He's got a degree. Anywhere. He doesn't have the license in Canada because he went to the NFL. He got his doctorate and he went to the NFL. He got his med degree and went to the NFL. So he's like, you know what? Screw it. I can do more good here than I can do there. And I can start working towards my career afterwards because I can get my residency done. So that's what he did.
Oh, that's smart.
It's smart, and and the Chiefs were like, dude, we're totally behind you on this. If this is what you need to do, go ahead and do it. We're expecting him back. We're expecting him back. But I'm looking at this team. I'm like, we have so much talent, except in like the
People to
trenches. We
block.
have, yeah, we have great talent that's going to get sacked. I mean, I don't know. All right, moving on because we're running out of time. The Raiders. The Raiders brought in John Brown. They brought in Ngoe. I know I pronounced that wrong. Yannick Ngoe. And they brought in Nick Morrow. They're lost Devontae Booker to the Giants. They lost Nelson Aguilar to the Patriots. They lost Tyrell Williams to the Lions. Jason Witten retired again.
Again, for the third
Trent
time.
Brown got traded. Theo Riddick is under contract. Zay Jones is under contract. They're another one. They have 3 offensive guards and 2 offensive tackles that are gone, and a center. They're not quite as bad as the Chiefs, but they're in bad shape. Vic Beasley is not under contract.
Remember him?
Yeah. This is the Raiders look like they might be even as bad as the Chiefs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's I know we're still really early on, but yeah, it doesn't seem John Brown might help, but then I keep hearing that Carr may not, Carr isn't the answer there, so I don't know what the Raiders are going to do.
They put it was in one of the last episodes of Gridiron Heights. They had John Gruden as a used car salesman, and car was spelled with 2 R's. And it was like a 3-second thing. I can't remember. It was like they do like it was like this is a television break or something. I think they were doing like a sitcom takeoff or something like that. And they went to television break, and it was John Gruden who's like, "I got cars right here. There's only 40,000 yards on this arm." And like David Carr said there, he was like, "What's happening?" So yeah, thumbs down to this entire division. I'm sorry. We haven't even talked about the Chargers yet. Do we need to?
I mean, I guess we should because they're next on the list. But yeah, this division's going to get a thumbs down.
This entire division they're probably the worst division. Tyrod Taylor gone. Hunter Henry gone. There's your offense. Well, that's not true. You had the kid was good. What's his name? Herbert was good. So I can't really say that. But you know what's going to problem? Guess what? Mike Pouncey, one of their centers, retired. 4 more of their offensive line not under contract. What is wrong with the AFC West and offensive linemen?
They just don't want them anymore. They're like, you know what? We're playing arena football now. We only need one of them. It's fine.
But you know what they did sign? They did sign a center. They brought in Corey Linsley. That's good. They signed a cornerback. Okay, I don't know how that helps. And they re-signed Michael Bladgley. So they've got a kicker, a center, and a quarterback.
Yes.
So if this is like street football,
they're good.
They're good.
Yeah, it's like
it's
arena football. Remember arena football? That was fun to go to.
Yes, I remember being in an arena football game. Was the Connecticut Seawolves or something like that?
Yeah, it was the Seawolves.
And I remember being there, and on the kickoff to start the game, the Seawolves kicker got into a fight with somebody on the other team that he'd had beef with and got ejected. Those are like 22 player lineups rosters. They play both ways. The kicker was the kicker/punter, and he got ejected on kickoff. So now you have to play an entire arena game with no one who knows how to kick. It's not even like your kicker got hurt and your punter can figure it out.
Yeah.
Because this is what he does. He is the kicker punter.
Nice.
And there literally came a play like maybe 10 minutes later where fourth and 12, which wasn't unusual in arena football, and the quarterback is standing way back, and I'm like, is he in shotgun or is he gonna punt? The quarterback is back there. And they hiked to the ball and he punted it, and it went gotta be a 30-degree angle off his foot and straight into the stands.
Nice.
It went like 6 yards. Like 6 yards. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. It was brutal. I was just like, how do you let that happen? As a coach, how do you let that happen? You can't sign another kicker. It's just you can't. You're lucky you get a roster spot for a kicker. And then you let the guy get into a fight.
Yep.
All right, so the entire AFC West is focaccia, for lack of a better word.
Good word.
It's all up in the air. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody has an offensive line, which means someone in the AFC West is going to lead the league in sacks this year because they're going to have no trouble getting to the quarterbacks. This division, why am I drawing a blank on this? Okay, so Herbert's in clicking the wrong button. Is in LA. Mahomes is in Kansas City. The Raiders are going through a rebuild, so Carr may or may not be there. And if Drew Lock takes a step forward, that's 3 young, good quarterbacks in that division that all may have the crap kicked out of them because their team can't sign offensive linemen.
Nope.
Are you kidding?
It'll be something.
We've got it. Don't be shocked if all they do is draft offensive linemen in this draft. Like 7 rounds, and the Chiefs take 6 offensive linemen and some random dude just because he looks like he fits their scheme. Don't be shocked at all.
No,
and then don't be shocked when Patrick Mahomes only plays 4 games.
Here, all right. Here's the question then for you, since you're the AFC West guy.
Yeah.
What team is going to give up the most sacks?
Based on the information we have right now.
Right now, yep. March 17th.
It's a tie. It's a tie between the Chiefs and the Raiders.
All right.
It's a toss up between the Chiefs or the Raiders. I'd say I'd go with the Raiders just because Mahomes can at least scramble.
Right.
So maybe that's 3 or 4 times a game or a season he doesn't get sacked that the Raiders will. That might be it. And the Chiefs have dump off. Hilaire can catch the dump off. You know, you've already lost Devontae Booker and Theo Riddick in well, Theo Riddick hasn't gone anywhere yet, but he's not under contract. You're likely losing him. I mean, who are you dumping the ball off to at this point if you're them for a running back? Josh Jacobs? Jacobs is good, but I don't think he can catch the ball as well as he can run it. And if you have no offensive line, he's not going to be able to run it. He's not Derrick Henry. He's not going to be able to create. He's going to have to be reliant on the offensive line. And right now, remember I said that the Chiefs only had 1 left tackle? Right now, the Raiders have 1 right guard. They have 1 name under right guard.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. John Simpson. That's it. Simpson, eh? But that's it. That's the only guy. They've got to figure this out. They've got to figure this out. Oh, by the way, John Simpson is also the backup left guard.
Oh, good. So he can play both.
Guard,
good. Great.
Well, that's the thing. But if you put him at right guard, then it means you only got 2 people at left guard eligible. And then what happens if one of those people get hurt? You literally have 3 guys for 2 spots. And then after that, it's kind of like Cordell go in there and punt.
Oh,
I mean,
remember
at that point, you're just kind of making it up as you go along. You have no idea what's happening at that point. So, all right, that's the AFC.
Wow, we got through the whole AFC.
We did.
All right, so really quick though, out of the whole AFC, who's doing the best so far for you?
Oh, no question, it's the Patriots.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's the Patriots. They never really spent a lot in free agency, and this year they just backed the dump truck up full of money.
So I was getting a haircut yesterday, and I didn't go to my normal barber. So Pasquale, if you're listening to this, please don't be upset. It was just a timing thing. I ended up at a Sport Clips, and First Take was on. So Stephen A was screaming at Max Kellerman and some other random dude.
Right, as usual.
And Max Kellerman pointed out one very interesting point. It's not that the Patriots don't spend; it's that the Patriots wait. The Patriots are one of those teams, like we criticized the Browns for this earlier. They sit back and they say, let's see what the market price is. We don't need to sign those huge guys. Let's see what the market price is. Right. And then they start asking about individual guys. And they brought up the example of Randy Moss. Because remember, Randy Moss had a couple of years in Minnesota, and he was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And all of a sudden, the value for Randy Moss drops, and the Patriots swoop in and win a Super Bowl with Randy Moss. That's historically what they do. For them to be active early is unusual. And that's really the big thing. And to be active early, you need to spend money.
True.
That's part. I'm sitting here criticizing the Chiefs. Part of the reason the Chiefs have to wait is because they don't have any money. They had to give big deals out. They have to figure things out money-wise. So, I think that there's no question. Who's done the worst job? There's like 5 teams. How about the entire AFC West as a starter? The West and the South and like half of the North. I mean, I criticized the Jets early on in this. The Jets are better. The Jets, if I'm ranking the Jets are probably a top 10 team in the AFC East right now. I'm sorry, AFC right now in terms of moves made. because everybody else is just waiting so long. We have this, and there's always this flurry of activity early. I think the Patriots easily are the best team, and best team in terms of moves so far, and we'll see if it works out for them. I know Cinch is very down on Cam. He thinks Cam is the problem. I don't think Cam is the problem. I don't. I think
Yeah,
they'll be better next year.
maybe he had COVID brain. I don't know. He just didn't look like he wanted to be out there last year.
Yeah. All right, I got one last question for you, and then we'll go to final thoughts.
Yeah,
In all of this, it's March Madness.
it is.
Who you got? You got to have your brackets done by now. Give me one team. Give me the team.
Wow. Now, see, I actually was going to do my brackets today.
Oh, you haven't done them yet. Okay.
No.
Okay.
All right, who do you have?
I have Gonzaga winning the whole thing, and I have my sleeper pick is Georgetown. Georgetown won the Big East tournament this weekend, upsetting Creighton in the final.
They did. They did.
And Patrick Ewing's their coach.
So here's the thing.
Gotta love
Here's
that.
my thing with Georgetown, though. Every year that I've picked them, they blow it. Like they make it to
the 5 seed.
Yeah, and they make it to like the last 6, 8, and then they blow it. So like I always try to avoid picking them because that's why.
When I was at UConn and Allen Iverson was there was the year that they were really, really good. And I think they were a 3 seed and they lost in the second round. And everybody was like, what in the holy hell? I was like, yep.
Yep.
That's what happens. Allen Iverson and 4 other guys aren't going to bring you to a championship.
Yep. So I think for me, as of right now, because I haven't done these yet, but as of right now, it's Michigan, not Michigan State. Michigan.
Michigan's good.
And my secret super sleeper pick is UConn.
No way. There's no chance.
I know, but that's why they're my sleeper pick.
There is no chance in hell UConn. UConn might not get out of the first round against Maryland. I love my Huskies. Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance they lose to Maryland. I'm picking them to win, but I think I have them losing. I think I have losing to Texas in the Sweet 16, and that's me being a fan. That's me being a fan. Now, on the other side of it, in the women's ranks, I have UConn's women not only winning the entire tournament, but they're going to beat all 63 teams. Like, teams that are eliminated just for good measure, they're going to go back and play those teams again and beat them.
Now, how is that going to work with, what's his name? The coach having COVID.
Oh, Gino?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
No?
Nope. His what's her name is there, right? UConn women's coaching staff. Why am I drawing a blank on her name? I can see her face. Hold on a second. I'm pulling it up. I'm doing a search on the fly. We're doing it live. Chris Daly.
Oh, okay.
Chris Daly has been the associate head coach for like the last 7 years, and she was like an assistant coach. She has been there almost as long as he has. They're essentially the same person at this point in terms of their coaching, and he has said it in interviews before. She's the go-to when there's something specific. Like when he's like trying to watch 75 things going on, he'll lean over and go, keep an eye on this. And then she'll like just say it, like, oh, he dropped it. Oh, they drew that coverage. So half the time that Gino looks really like a genius, Gino's an amazing coach. Don't get me wrong. He wouldn't be as great if Chris Daly wasn't still there. And that's a huge part of it, I think. I think that's a huge part of it. Shea Ralph is also an assistant coach on that team. Shea Ralph and Jamel Elliott, 2 former UConn greats. I was at UConn at the same time as Shea Ralph.
Oh, you were?
The year Oh, yeah. I was there the year that she really badly hurt her knee early on in the season. Yeah, I was there then. That was something. And then there was a rumor going around that she was seen walking around in like at Halloween in like high heel pumps. And people were like, how do you blow out your knee and walk around in high heel pumps? And it turned out not to be her, but people were like, there was pictures circulating campus for a while. I was like, look, Shea Ralph is faking it. That wasn't Shea Ralph, dude. That's as close to Shea Ralph as was to Bigfoot. I mean, you just took a picture of somebody in the dark, just assumed it was Shea Ralph. So anyway, all right, final thoughts. What do you got for me, Craig?
Final thoughts. The off season is officially over. It's the official beginning of the new season.
So nice. I was having such a good, relaxing time. I'm not ready.
We still have time before the draft, so we're okay.
Oh, and then we gotta figure out who's who in the draft and all that stuff.
That's for the source if he ever wants to give us any of that info.
Oh, the Mel Kiper, the annual thawing of Mel Kiper out of suspended animation has to have begun by now.
Begin the thawing of Jim Neighbors.
Yeah, basically. All right, so my final thought is in all of this, because we were very focused on the moves, there was a big retirement this week with Drew Brees retiring.
Yes.
Not completely unexpected. We didn't discuss it because we didn't talk about the NFC moves, and next week we will. We'll focus on the NFC next week. But man, first ballot Hall of Famer, right? Easy, right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's really a question for that.
I don't see how you can't. I don't see how you can't. But we'll see. That's so. Best of luck to Drew Brees as he moves on to his next phase of his life. I hope he ends up doing something in football. Don't go to the front office, Drew. Don't do it.
No, don't do it.
Take a sweet broadcasting job somewhere. Go do Monday Night Football. I think Drew Brees would be fantastic on Monday Night Football.
I think he's going on NBC actually.
Does he? Is he already arranged it? Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
aware they already had a deal. Good. Go do it. Go do it because I think you'd be great at it, and just do that. So wherever you listen to us, please leave us a review. If you're on Apple, if you're on Stitcher, if you're on Player FM, we're all over the place. I want to thank the entire nation of Canada because we are trending up on their fantasy sports podcast in Canada. Again, thank you, Canada, for your continued support of our small podcast. Definitely reach out to us. We're at Fignuts DFS on Twitter. We are fignutsdfs@gmail.com via email, and we're also on Facebook at the Football Fignuts Podcast. We love to hear from folks, particularly around this time of year where we have a lot of time to respond. It's really hard for me to respond to people who are like, which of these three guys should I start tomorrow when I'm knee deep in metric numbers? But now's a great time for us to just say, okay, yeah, we have some time to give some thought to your question and really give you a measured response. So do reach out to us. So we'll be back next week, I think. Who knows? It's the off season.
Yep. Who knows? We have farming to do.
Yeah, so definitely check us out too on Twitch. I broadcast under Howard Moon BG, and we'll be farming tonight, and that VOD should be available tomorrow for people who can't catch it live. So, thank you so much, Craig. You did a great job today. Really appreciate all your insights.
Thank you.
And everybody, we will be back next week, I think. Until then, be safe out there and take care. My name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast.